This is EBS TV Reloaded.
The other stations are tuned in too.
Thank you for staying with us. It's Issues and Answers on the Broadcasting Service. My name is Josephine Eyimihi. This morning we'll be looking at the International Youth Day, which was celebrated on the 12th of August 2022. So we'll be looking at issues bothering our young men and women in Nigeria. Though it's celebrated worldwide, but we're looking at how the youth faring in Nigeria. Do they have a space? Do they have a voice to be part of those leading us in the country? Why is the day even celebrated? So these are what we'll be looking at on Issues and Answers today. And we have some guests with us who will be looking at this topic. And as we go, we'll provide solutions on how youth can be part of the development plans in the country. What made this morning, I have Barrister Agatha Osike. She is the Edo State Coordinator, West African Network for Peace Building, Nigeria, WANEP Nigeria, and the Executive Director, Women, Youth and Children Advancement Program. Once again, you're welcome, Madam.
Thank you, sister. Good morning, viewers.
All right, we have a grassroots mobilization for good governance and youth activist member is Wisdom Eda. You're welcome.
Thank you for having me, Josephine.
He's a regular here. You're welcome. We're expecting the state youth chairman to come because we really want to know how it was celebrated in Edo State. Why is the day celebrated? But let me just give you people on why is the day celebrated. It's all about bringing to the forefront about issues that concerns youth and how to make them better in the society. I'm just paraphrasing what they all about. They have a team, intergenerational, something like intergenerational. Let me get the team.
Intergenerational.
Solidarity, the ages for, thank you for that. Yes, I wrote it somewhere. So that's all this all about. So we'll be expecting you have to tell us what is going on about our youth in Edo State. But let me come to Barrister Osike. She's Executive Director, Women, Youth and Children Advancement Program. Ma'am, how do you see our young men and women in Nigeria? How are they faring from your own perspective?
Yeah, I would say from my own angle, they are not really faring the way I think they should. And this is not peculiar to Nigeria, neither peculiar to Edo State. I think it's a worldwide thing, and that was why the United Nations, they deemed it fit to, set aside a day in the year to celebrate the youth. And when we talk of celebrating the youth, it's a day to really sit down and reflect over, their achievements, their setbacks, and make out a work plan or a roadmap to ensure that they become inclusive in every sphere of life in every nation. That is why the date is very, very important. And coming to Nigeria and Edo State as it were, I am thinking our youths per se, they have not really gotten to that level where everybody expects them to be. Why am I saying this? You now discover that in as much as we have, in the present dispensation, we have some youths as commissioners, some youths as SAs and all that. You see, those positions are appointed positions, not elected. When you are elected to a position, you have every power to take decision and carry out certain actions. But as being appointed, your powers are limited. You go by directives. Do it this way. Don't do it that way. Thereby making you redundant in the hem of affairs. It's not too good for our society.
All right. Thank you for that. Yes, I've gotten the theme for this 2022 Youth Day: intergenerational solidarity, creating a world for all ages. Wisdom leader, can you just throw more light on this theme?
Oh, okay. The purpose for the Youth Day celebration is to help the world remember that there is need to continue all aspects of leadership, especially in terms of leadership, all aspects of life from one generation to another, is to encourage all inclusiveness, is to make people understand that a given set of people who constitute the largest, at least, percentage of global population must also be given the opportunity and privilege to be heard. So it's a way of drumming support, and it's also a way of celebrating achievements of youth. So this is a period to celebrate whatever youth across the world have been able to achieve, their impact into the society, and this is also a day to remind the ruling class that youth are supposed to be very much included in the affairs of leadership and the general affairs of things. It's also a day to drum support for their empowerment, to drum support for their emancipation, for those who are being abused, for those suffering from one challenge or the other, for those who are having gender challenges, for those who are having series of abuse. Is also a day to actually drum support for their justification, or for their voices to be heard. So I think all over the world, this actually is what is being celebrated today. So we are begging the world, and we're begging leaders to understand that youth constitute the conscience of the society. Youth are the people that makes you to know whether things are going right or wrong. There's a parable that says you might not be able to learn new tricks at old age, but at the young age, youths can, at least they can voice out, they can shout, they can rebuff, they can agitate when they feel they have endured to a certain degree on some issues that are not really comfortable to them. And youths also can be curious, they can decide to engage in certain things that they never knew anything about, in order to develop knowledge and wisdom, because the most important thing at youthful stage is knowledge, So we are begging leaders to understand that this day is a day to remember the youth, is a day to know that youth are supposed to be leading. Life is like a relay race. When you run to an extent, you hand over the baton to the next generation. And if the next generation is not well prepared, if the next generation is not integrated, if the next generation is not being considered, now when you depart from the scene, maybe by natural causes, it will create a very big lacuna, a very giant lapse between where you were and where the next generation is supposed to be. And that is contrary to the law of nature. If you watch animals, they do mentoring. As a lion is growing, the younger lion is watching what the mom is doing, and they learn. But so we are asking our leaders to understand that youth are supposed to be learning from you in whatever you are doing. If you are achieving, if you are developing, if you are a governor, if you are a senator, there are supposed to be youths that form your own cabinets who are going to carry on from where you stop, and with a higher and stronger energy, with a better motivation, with a more refined concept, because the world definitely is evolving. So we need to also evolve in policies. We need to also evolve in all activities.
Thank you for your thought, Barrister Oseke. It's talking about youth being prepared to be mentored in order to take the lead. Do you see most of these are youths ready to take the lead in Nigeria, going with what is happening in the country?
Yes, if you ask me, I would say yes. It's not everybody that can be in governance. I know there are some youths who are prepared to be in governance, just like it's not all adults that are in governance. So we have some adults that are not interested in governance. So it works that way. If you look at mentorship in the secular world or secular life, I wonder, if you go back to families, you discover that parents, they groom their children to succeed them at home. Why is that not working out in leadership in the secular life? What is the missing link? That I am a leader here, and then because amongst my let me use the word members now, I don't have my son or my daughter or my relative, therefore I will not groom a successor. It is a wrong attitude. I think it is high time, when my brother was talking about begging. I don't believe in begging. We have documents. The Constitution is there. The United Nations documents are there. The African Union documents are there, recognizing youth's involvement in politics, in leadership, in every sphere of life. So it's either someone there is not interested in looking at those documents, or someone out there, is not ready to assign to those documents or work by those documents. And then it's again either the youth, they don't understand their rights. I believe in something. Once you understand what you're supposed to do, you understand your right and where you should be and what you should do, you don't need to beg. You don't need to go about it the riot way, but you can go about it through dialogue. So you now discover that dialogue is essential. Understanding your position is essential. So once you're able to do this, you can now ask and push, and not by begging.
Continue, please.
So I believe it is high time those in position, they are made to understand that our youths are relevant to ensure that this country, this state, moves to the next level. I'm glad the National Youth Council state chairman is here. They should begin to understand their role as youths, or as apex body that is in charge of youth, activism.
Let me break you. Talking about they understanding, knowing their rights and knowing what to do. How can these people know their right? For instance, for the past 6 months, most of our students in university, they are mostly youth.
Yes.
And these persons, they've been at home. Year in, year out, we always have them some few months in school and back home many months. How can these people know their rights where the system they are in is not helping them to know this?
Most often, systems don't allow you to understand your rights. They even make you to understand that you don't have a right at all. And you see them stampeding on you. So you have to go out of your way to find out what rights do I have as a youth. Nobody, the kind of system we have in this country, will never want you to know. So you have to go out of your way to find out. And once you know, you see, like the example you just cited, the students. I remember in our own days, I remember the Ango Must Go. That movement brought a lot of changes in the system, at least for some time. So If you have stayed at home 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, and you are not seeing any green light, what are you supposed to do? Is to mobilize. Who are going to be our spokespersons? You agree on what to put down, your demands, and then you push it. Most often it's not easy anyway. But I am thinking you start from somewhere, making your demands known. I think we are tired of staying at home. Whoever is the minister, whoever is the president, there are so many mediums you can use to, you know, pushing your demands without being aggressive.
Don't you think the youth are doing that and there's no way out?
Listen, there is time for everything.
Okay.
There is time for everything. Do these things stage or step by step. When step 1 fails or plan A fails, you now take plan B. And make sure that you have all the responsible persons around you, so that when you take it the way of demonstration, it does not escalate to conflict. So I believe nobody tells you your right. Nobody brings your right to you. Just like they are using poverty now to punish the masses. And we are all keeping quiet. God will help us. God will help us. God will help us. God cannot come down from heaven and begin to do certain things for us, because he has given us hands, he has given us brain and heart to think.
All right, Pastor Seke, God cannot come down to earth, and I'm just wondering, how can these people know if they are not taught? If they are not in school, how can they know this thing? It's a big problem. We have the state chairman of the National Youth Council, Mr. Osan. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you so much, Auntie Josephine. Good morning, viewers.
Last week, we celebrated International Youth Day. So just tell us briefly how it was marked in Edo State. Let's get you.
Well, thank you so much for this opportunity that you have also given for us to speak to our youth. We're talking about the International Youth Day. A lot of activities, it's even as we speak, the celebration is still on. The one being organized by the Ministry of Youth and Humanitarian Affairs on behalf of Edo State government. Even though the National Youth Council, as a council, we celebrated as on the very day, on the 12th of August. There were a lot of activities. We had quiz competitions, we had media parley, we had novelty football match, we had dinner, to round it up, and we equally recognized a few persons that have contributed to youth development and the society. That's at the National Youth Council level. But talking about the rundown of activities outlined by the Ministry of Youth and Humanitarian Affairs that is being paddled by the Honorable Commissioner, Honorable Chris Osa Neikai. There was a talk show on some media stations. They started with that, and on the 12th, there was a joint sitting of the Edo State Youth Parliament and Delta State Youth Parliament, where various motions and bids, were passed. And even today, as we speak, at about 10 a.m., there will be a stakeholders session on the development of a youth policy. The state government is planning to develop a youth development policy, that will engage all stakeholders, as well as, the youth, which is the major stakeholder in youth development. That dialogue will start by 10 o'clock in Government House, Festival Hall, Government House this morning. So I'm even expected there, even though some of my persons are already there. And then sometime in the week, there's going to be a boot camp, that will host close to 500 youths. They are going to be together for a period of time, and a lot will be done in that camp. And there is also an arrangement to have a film festival in collaboration with Edo Jobs. That is also another event to mark the day. So a whole lot of activities as we speak is still, it will run even into September, around on the 4th or 5th of September, to wrap it up.
All right, that's a good one. Thank you for that. But are you happy that some of your youths, which are students, they are at home right now, Are you happy about the situation?
Well, how can I be happy about the situation?
Because is it part of what you discussed during the
of course, even like I mentioned during the sitting of the Youth Parliament, the Edo State and Delta joint session, that there was a motion moved on the urgent need for federal government to take action, to see the need why students should return to school with immediate effect. You see, talking about ASU strike, a lot has been done. It's just that the government at the center is they are not trying to understand the people. It's like they are closing their ears to the cry, you know, of Nigerian youths. Just I listened to Barrister when she was talking just now. A whole lot of protests have been done, peaceful protests, even violent. You know, a whole lot have been done, but the federal government seems not to be listening to any of these things. Even as there was a time that the LSC had to solidarize with ASU and then declared 2 days protest, which was done all over the country. It was within that period we heard that the president have given 14 days ultimatum to the Minister for Education, you know, to ensure that the issue of ASU strike is resolved. I am sure that 2 weeks has passed. As we speak, the strike is still on. So I do not really understand what the government at the center is doing with Nigeria economy, with Nigeria education, with the agricultural sector, with the transport. In fact, everything is, Nigeria is in a total mess.
Is it that you people back and don't bite, or there is this sometimes in time past when groups like this talk, the government listen? Is it that there is something going on that maybe past some of you people just go behind and take money, and before you know, that's why they don't treat you, that when you would talk, nobody listen? So what really what do you think is going on, that a group like you will talk and others will talk and nobody, the government just choose not to listen to you?
You see, when you have, let's say, when the righteous is in power, the people rejoice. But when you have the wicked, you know, ruling us, then there's bound to be problem. There were, just like you mentioned, there were times where you have people in authority and then there are protests everywhere. The issues are quickly tackled, they are quickly resolved. But in a situation where you have somebody who is leading over 200 million Nigerians, even as at the time he said he's given 2 weeks ultimatum to the minister to resolve the issue, it was at that time he mentioned that he was not even aware if ASU was on strike.
No, that was not it. He said he was not aware if they are going to kidnap him. But it's not. Is that
well, there are so many. You know, everything that transpires in Nigeria, the man is not always aware until it gets to a very bad situation. He will tell you he's not aware. So what I'm trying to say is that, you know, there were times when we protest, when we talk, government will listen. But today, I do not know what is happening to the government of Nigeria. I do not know what is happening at the center. In fact, it's the same thing everybody is saying everywhere. And the same political party that presented this man is asking that they want to present somebody to be president of this country. It's a terrible situation. It's a sad situation. Nigeria is in a total mess. We have done all we could do. And in fact, we are praying that the elections should come quickly so that we can have a new Nigeria that we dream of. There's nothing we have not done. You are in the press. You have seen youths in the street. You have seen a lot of things happening. But the government at the center is paying debt. In fact, state governments are even trying to cushion the situation to see how they can manage the situation. You saw how those state government was able to manage the situation at Bruce Ali University, asking them to return to school. And as we speak, academic activities is running at Bruce Ali University. That is because the state government is able to manage, you know, the lecturers.
All right, Wisdom Elder, I ask him a question that in the time past, they say student union government, when they talk, they go to meet the government or anybody, those in authority, they listen to the youth council and different bodies. What do you think leads to this, that when they talk, nobody listens to them anymore?
In fact, I'm even surprised from the dimension of the National Youth. I'm surprised because I know that National Youth Council before now we are used to really calling, because he's of National Youth Council, not just operating at the state. This is national. So definitely from the presidency and then from the ruling government. But I'm very much surprised. So that means things have changed. Before now, we know what used to happen at the National Youth Council. That's the truth. We know what used to happen. We've been there. We've seen the political activities of our youth then. And then, yes, presidency in those days used to listen to people, and it used to be very, 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 very interactive. It used to be an absorbing unit. It used to be very absorbing, and then listening and then empowering youths and projecting youths, even at the presidency, projecting youths. And then, you know, when we come to Abuja before now, when we see some of our youths who are there and in charge, and maybe they are not giving heed to us, you know, from the National Youth Council, we know what we could do before now to upset and probably, you know, stir up a challenge against them, against their opposition, and before you know it, they will begin to act. I've seen attention before now. I've seen there was time we went to Abuja for a function, and then we decided to pay our senators visits. We paid visit to our reps, House of Rep members from our states. We just had to do that. It was late. Some of them gave us audience. Very late at night, we were able to see some of them. They gave us audience. We had time, and then they even made a lot of comments about some challenges they have been facing, you know. And then in such case, you cannot be stranded because you had someone at the helm of affairs that is actually representing you. And then the youth house was actually the youth house, both in the federal and in the states, you understand. But there's this thing, if you watch the political system now, the youth are beginning to, you know, regain interest and confidence in the system. So youths, like I said, they are the conscience of the society. When things start going wrong, they are the first to understand, they are the first to know, they are the first to react. So, and you know, in the human makeup, the conscience is that portion in us that knows what is good from what is bad. So youth are easy, they can easily know what is actually good and what is bad. So, and many of them within the time, within the years, have lost interest in the system. They have lost interest in the system. Look at what happened during NSAS. We needed people to protect us. We needed people to stand by us. But we were left at the mercy of ourselves. We had to even improvise, mobilize, and these people went into violence. You understand? So youth have seen, and when a youth sees such thing, he does not give up actually, but he makes a smarter move that will be higher than yours. That's the truth. That's why I always look at Nigerians, I say we are the smartest, we are very smart. Nigerians are very smart. If you come on air and you start talking, Nigerians know whether you are real or if you are fake. Our youth know those who are actually the problem in this country, whether they say it or not. They know those who are doing it well. They have records of everything that you have done since you became a governor, or since you became a senator, or since you became the president. They have record. They know. And because Nigeria is a very complex society whereby you have a lot of people who are into like this Yahoo and all the rest of them. So how can you now be trying to tell, you being a Yahoo president or a Yahoo governor or a Yahoo minister, trying to tell somebody who is also that maybe what is it? So they know. People have understanding whether you are doing it correctly or not. They know what is going on in the society. So people have lost interest and then we are praying that the interest begins to. That's why I resorted to appealing to people. Why am I appealing? Because we have really gone that far. We know election is coming, and then a lot of them are going to go out. Imagine that a lot of people representing at the National Assembly, a lot of them are not returning, and there have been agitations. Some elections were conducted. Youth saw elections that were conducted and people were declared winner. And yesterday, I heard that those places, there is no candidate. And youths are seeing these things. And tomorrow, when that person that is trying to force his way begins to force his way into the system, then you think that youths don't know. We know. We understand, and I thank God security situation is improving, because people have been making the government to understand that they know everything. Don't come and tell us Nigeria is better. We have a booming economy. We know what is happening.
All right.
That is the position of the youth. Youth have deep understanding, and they know when to take action. There was a time in Imo State. Sorry, I'll take your time a little. There was a time in Imo State during an election that youth mobilized around a candidate, and they made sure that candidate won the election. But when this man entered, he became a terror to people. He concentrated on himself. He started doing things contrary to the expectations of people. And what do you have? Even recently, when that man was trying to agitate on air, everybody were lambasting, were bombing at him. Who do you think you want to gain sympathy of? Who? Nobody, because we know. We have understanding.
Okay, let me take it from there. He said the youths, they know, they are aware. But recently, during earlier this year, Governor Godwin Obaseki said most of these youths are not involved in drugs. These youth that know, they are not into drugs. That was what the governor said. He attributed it to maybe because of the ASU strike and other issues. So how can you address this? Because we are looking at the youth of our future. If these youths are addicted, what do we get in the future?
Well, if they are addicted, it's a serious problem. But one will also expect that government must put its toe on the ground, to ensure that we curb the menace. Because if we sit down and begin to say, this is what is happening, this is what is happening, and we are not taking action, to see how we can curb it, is another problem of its own. That is why we continue to sensitize our youth. Because if, just like we mentioned the issue of ASU strike, those that are supposed to be in school, now they are idle and all that, but we have been telling them, yes, you discover that 1 month the strike is on, you have to think of an alternative, think of something to do. It's an opportunity to also learn something, maybe learn a skill, so that tomorrow, even when the certificate you are aiming at, you now have it and you are not getting the white collar job, you'll be able to look at, your second address, which is the skill that one is looking at that you should learn. Because if you continue to keep yourself idle, that is when the devil will be speaking into your head. This is what you should do, this is what you should do, this is what you should do. But again, we even we'll continue to encourage government, to support organizations, that are ready to walk in this direction, to walk in this line, so that they can continue to sensitize our youth, continue to speak our youth, continue to rehabilitate even those, that have gone astray, so that we can, rehabilitate them back into the society. It is very important. It is not just the duty of one organization. Government must support. There is no organization that runs without funds. There's no organization that can run and succeed without funds. So for those organizations to be able to run, to be able to meet up with what they are supposed to be doing, they need funds. Government must support. Government should look at organizations that are working in this line and provide support for them. Give them the enabling environment so that they can impart our youth. It is very important.
All right, talking about acquisition of skills, you have that in the National Youth Council.
Yes.
Is it still there?
It's functional. It's there. As we speak now, people are there learning trades.
But most of these young people, this period don't like acquiring skills, rather they go the fastest way. So how can you remedy such situation?
We thank God for the governor of Edo State and even His Royal Majesty the Oba of Benin. You know, at the time when the issue of community development association, you know, turned something else, all the youths, you know, went back to various communities to be selling land. They sell one today and get 2 million. The next day they sell another one. Even come back to sell the one they have sold before. You know, they were making a whole lot of money from it. They never knew that it will stop. But by the grace of God, that has stopped. And then again, the issue of agberuism, you know, when they were just giving out tickets and collecting money from people on a daily basis, they were making a lot of money. But when the governor came in collaboration with the palace, all these were stopped. And that is the problem we are even facing now. Because these persons that used to make a lot of money on a daily basis, the money is no longer there. And they don't even know where to go now. But we are trying to speak to them. The earlier, the better. The earlier you begin to think of what to do with yourself so that you can be useful to yourself and be useful to the society, the better for you. Learn a trade. Get something doing so that you can take care of yourself. That is what that is the message we are preaching. They should not think that even those that are doing Yahoo today, they think that it's not going to be there all along. A time will come that Yahoo will become a thing of the past. So it is important now, even if you do Yahoo to get some money, why not invest the money and start doing legitimate business? That is what we are telling them. That is what they should learn. That is what they should do. Because after now, Yahoo will be nowhere. What will you fall back to? Where is the second address? Chairman. It is important that when you have an address, you create a second address so that when the first address or the address fades, you can fall back to your second address.
Are these youths aware that you have a ski acquisition center there? How do you?
There is no day I have appeared on a television program like this that I have not mentioned it. Okay. I said on a television program, not talking about just issues and answers.
Okay.
Everywhere in fact, I was coming from a sister station when I came here. This morning I had to be there because that one came earlier. You know, but then I also came here now. This is the message we are preaching. Apart from talking on the radio and television like this, we also have programs where we sensitize people. Okay. I made mention of the program we had for the International Youth Day a few days ago. All these, you know, were issues that were deliberated on. All these were issues that we discussed. So we expect that if really our youths are ready, they need to take the bull by the horn.
Do you see them ready?
Well, I would say they are ready.
Okay. All right.
All we need to do is to continue to pass the message across to them and ensure that it gets to the grassroots.
Exactly.
Oh, you want to say something concerning the sensitization? Because yes. Some of these young people, they don't watch television. Some of them don't watch. So I don't know that you pass it through the internet also.
Very well. Very well. In fact, that is the major channel now.
The challenge there is the challenge. You know, the youth world is different from the world of an elder or an old man. The world of the youth is different. So there are things that appeals to an old man that will not appeal to the youth. So if an old man is sending a message that he wants the youth to get across to the youth from the world of the old man, the youth will not accept it. But if he is coming from the world of the youth, we are talking about intergenerational, you understand? Solidarity. So if you are looking at the world of the youth, where they are, what they do now, how they accept things, how they flow. A child now that you give your phone, 6 or 8 years, doesn't need a manual. Ask anybody. When last did you look at the manual of your phone? Youths, they don't need the manual to access the phone. So that is their world. Their world now is digitized. Their world now is an artificial intelligence world where they want to do a lot, even within a second. Bill Gates said something. He said the reason why he employs a lazy man is because a lazy man will teach you how to do a difficult work easily. You understand? So that's the reason why. So the purpose of coming down or rebranding a project or conceptualizing a project to appeal to these people is in order to achieve the purpose and the aim. And when that purpose and aim is not achieved, the totality of that project is defeated. Are you getting me? Like now, you cannot tell a youth, like I always say, a youth that you have told that farming is a poor man's way of living from primary school to secondary and then university. After graduating, you tell him, return to farm. But if you make this person understand that exportation of this product is a booming business, and if you cultivate it as well, is booming, and you don't need to cultivate by carrying hoe or machetes to the but there's mechanized farming, and there are strategies to do these things carefully, stresslessly, and billionaires, people are making billions in it. You can even process there are languages that youths want to hear, and once they hear those languages, it goes higher.
All right, there's a language for the youth.
Yes.
All right, thank you for that. Barrister Oseke, according to the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, it said Nigerians' youth population eligible to work is about 40 million, out of which only 14.7 million are fully employed, and another 11.2 million are unemployed. This according to the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics. Do you see this as a healthy direction for the Nigerian?
It's not healthy at all. We all know it's not healthy. Now, we all know there are no jobs. Fine, there are no jobs, but some persons are occupying spaces that they should have relinquished. We know that in our civil society, civil service, platform. Some persons are supposed to have retired so that there will be space for youth to take up those spaces. But they keep on staying there. I asked a question. A father or a mother, you have worked, you have trained your children, they are now graduates up to master's degree, no job, and you are happy sitting in that particular office, and 5 of your children are at home doing nothing when you are supposed to have retired. And yet you complain. My children are at home, no jobs, no jobs, no jobs. To me, government should begin to do the needful. Because when we talk of jobs, we are looking at the civil service, not the private sector now. So there should be a clean space for these youths to occupy. If you have worked for 30 years, 35 years, you have trained on, what are you still doing there? Some of them keep on backdating their employment date and date of birth.
But that is no longer possible because they have...
Yes, all those things gave room to all what we are experiencing today. They gave room to all that. Before the slate will be cleaned to make room for these youths, it will take some time. And again, the private sector, I know some of our youths, like they rightly said, some of them, they have learnt a trade, but no money to establish.
No electricity to even start.
No electricity. The rate of renting a store now is like, God have mercy. So the whole thing is so closed for the youths. And we're talking, okay, go and learn a trade. Now ASU is on strike. I know few persons that we have helped. But the thing is that there must be an enabling environment for these youths to strive in their trade. We don't have to keep on crucifying them for doing this, for doing that. Something led to that. And until we learn to tackle the root causes of issues, we will not get the right result. So it is high time we begin to have a rethink, especially we, the old, medium or old generations. So that, honestly, so that these are youth, they will have a space.
All right.
Now you talk about the ASU strike. I am beginning to think, if our children, they have done their best to speak their mind, and government is not really listening, I think it is high time, if parents will agree with me, if there's a way we can mobilize ourselves and begin to talk to government.
The parents. They've done that, but it seems no way. You see the chairman lamenting.
The youths have done that. I'm talking about the parents now. Let parents begin to say something. Because when youths do certain things, they say it's out of youthful exuberance. And nobody sees the reason or the understanding or the importance of that action. We are always there to blame them for taking certain actions. We are blaming our children for doing drugs. We are blaming them for doing Yahoo. We are blaming them. Most of them are into kidnappings.
That's terrible.
If government, they have been able to play their part as government, I don't think this thing would have degenerated to this point.
All right, thank you so much for that point. We're out of time, but before we go, the state chairman, what is your advice for our young men? They're listening to you right now, and what do you have to tell our young men and our women?
Well, like we have always said, everywhere we go, we must shun social vices. We must engage ourselves positively. Kidnapping is not the answer. Even suicide is not the way to go. Drug trafficking is not what we should go into. Let us be focused on positive things and get ourselves engaged positively. The 2023 general elections is around the corner. We must involve in the electoral process and ensure that we get the new Nigeria of our dream.
Okay, and if they are in need, they should meet you also.
Of course,
all right.
With the little we can do, we are available. But
right.
If their problem is not becoming, will overweigh us, we may not be able to help. But
you can
as much as we can, we will do our best.
All right, your advice briefly to our young men.
All right, briefly, I want to say that leadership is all about succession. The purpose of celebrating International Youth Day is to remind our elders and our outgoing generation that leadership without a successor is failure in disguise. Whenever you gather at your Federal Executive Council meeting or State Executive Council or wherever you hang out and youths are not there, imagine if that generation passed, you have not transferred any wisdom, knowledge, or leadership skill or ability to the next generation, and it dies off with you. That is why Africa is backward. So I'm encouraging our leaders, please begin to transfer and begin to accommodate the youth in the system of things. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, my advice is 2023 is just by the corner. Whoever you vote in will either make you remain in your position or make you move to the next level. So I'm advising the youth to vote wisely.
All right, thank you so much. We'll be looking at the International Youth Day. And our guest this morning, we have Barrister Agatha Oseke. She is the Edo State Coordinator, West African Network for Peace Building, Nigeria, WANEP. And she's also the Executive Director, Women, Youth and Children Advancements Program. Once again, thank you, ma, for your thought.
Thank you very much.
And we have Wisdom Elder. He is a grassroots National Coordinator, Grassroots Mobilization for Good Governance and a Youth Activist. Thank you, sir, for your thoughts this morning.
Thank you.
And we have the State Chairman for the National Youth Council, Edo State. He is Osao Obasuye. Thank you once again, Chairman, for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
That's our show this morning. I'm Josephine Eimi. Do have a productive day ahead. Good morning.
This is EBS TV Reloaded.
The other stations are tuned in.